All right, so as we get started here, I want to ask a quick question of everybody. Who here, show of hands, at some point in time in the last year, 5 years, has woken up, said, no, not today. I can't make it in. I'm worn out. I'm exhausted. Enough is enough. All right? Okay, now, who here actually followed through with that and didn't called in, said, not happening. Didn't come up with an excuse, just said, not coming in. How many people here has that happened to 2, 3, 4 days in a row where you've woken up and you just didn't have the energy, didn't feel like you were in the right place, felt like you needed to move on? How about over a month of that? Fewer and fewer hands. That's good. The reality, though, is 79% of employees reported burnout, reported experiencing burnout within the last year. This has cost employers over $2 trillion in 2023 battling this, right? If you've ever woken up and said, I can't do it, you're not alone. Let's just dispel that myth right now, okay? If you feel like this is the way that it needs to be, it's not. And I'm going to go through a little bit about that today on how do we fight this, how do we overcome it, how do we feel better about what we're doing, and understand that, hey, there's days where you're going to feel tired, right? There's days that we can't do it, right? And we're exhausted, we're tired, we're ready for something else, right? I'm going to show you how to deal with those days, as well as the days that, man, I'm kicking butt and taking names, right? We're going to go through both of those in this presentation. For those that don't know, my name is Mike Hill. I am the founder of The Innovative Lifestyle. We are a coaching and mastermind program. I'm also co-founder and general manager of a company, Big Rocks Engineering. We are a contract engineering and manufacturing company, but I'm talking a lot more today from the Innovative Lifestyle side of things, because everything I talk about here today, I went through. I experienced it. I was executive at a power electronics manufacturer. I was vice president of engineering and quality. And it was rough. Day in, day out was horrible. One of the most toxic places I have ever worked. And I've been in a few places that I felt I said the same thing before I was there. But this one here got me. And it got me because it pushed me to be over 350 pounds. My lifestyle was out of control. My body was out of control. And my relationships were out of control as a response to that. I was short-tempered. My kids took a tongue lashing almost daily from me, and they didn't deserve it, right? I had a temper on me like no one else, right? And so if you can't tell, I have Irish. People used to joke that I got my Irish tan because I turned bright red, ready to fight, ready to yell at people. And I just had that trigger, man, that hairpin trigger that went off all the time. And so, that was all because I was burnt out. I was done. I was worn out. I had a CEO that would call 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He would text all night long. He would message all night long. He would call during the day. He'd come into my office and sit and yell and scream. Our conversations generally insisted of him slamming the table and standing up on top of it, yelling at me, and then accusing me and accusing my department of being lazy, and then I didn't do it. Right? And so I took it all to heart because I cared deeply about what I did. I cared deeply about the employees I worked with. I cared deeply about about being successful. And I'm sure that that's exactly what you do also. You care about what you do, otherwise you wouldn't be here today. Otherwise you wouldn't have raised your hand if you ever said that I just didn't feel like it, right? Because if you don't care, then you don't expend any energy, okay? So that's who I am. I took a lot of what I'm talking about here today and implemented it into my life, completely changed my life. I was able to leave that job. I actually got fired from that job, planned fired. My coach and I set out a year before I was let go and said, how do we get myself fired? And I got fired, and I walked away with an 18-month contract to be a contract employee for them. Allowed me to start my own business, which at the time was just simply an engineering contract. contractor, developed a product for that same organization. Did it on my time, did it in my way, and so was able to leave that organization, start my own business. A year after starting my own business, I sold it. Was able to sell it to its current owner, who now employs me, and I have a fantastic relationship with him. I have a fantastic relationship with my coworkers, and an even better relationship with my wife and kids because of it. So, started my business. Sold my business in a year, and in that same time period, I lost over 120 pounds, competed in my first bodybuilding competition. We went to Disney 4 times that year. All right, we went basically almost quarterly. One trip was only a few days, but it still counts another trip, because another trip was 3 weeks. All right, was able to do that with my family and for my family, because they deserved it for putting up with me, not only while I was burnt out, but also while I was starving myself and overtraining to compete in my bodybuilding competition. So, but fantastic year, and all of this while a pandemic was going on. Started my business in 2020, sold it 21, and did the bodybuilding competition in 21. So things weren't all quite back to normal yet, but for what could have been a very bad situation, and many people would have taken it as a bad situation, I was able to turn it around and make it a fantastic situation. Again, all because of what I'm going to talk about with you today. I'm going to hit 3 things with you today so that you know. Take the notes right now, all right, and we'll talk through them in a little more detail. First thing is vision. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is vision, the importance of one, and why you need one, and what it will do for you. The second one is personal development. All right, so having a vision, focusing on personal development, and the third one is accountability. All right, a lot of times people will talk about burnout and they'll say you need to set clearer boundaries and you need to just take more time off. Okay, how do I set clearer boundaries and how do I take more time off? Right? How do I make that a reality? Those are horrible pieces of advice. I know, because I got it. I heard it, and I was unable to do anything with it, right? Because guess what happens when you start setting boundaries with a narcissist, or you start setting boundaries with someone who thrives on making you feel little, right? They will break through those boundaries, and they'll push those boundaries and push your buttons every step of the way, right? So I'm going to give you something that works even better than that, okay? So, all right, what causes burnout? All right, like I said, burnout means you're out of balance, okay? It means you care too much, or you care, right? So what causes burnout, in my opinion, is you're out of balance in some section, some area of your life, right? So if you're focusing only on your career and you're not focusing on your family at all, you're not focusing on your health, you're not focusing on your finances, then you're out of balance, right? 80, 90 hours a week. I've done it. I know what it's like, right? You're out of balance, or even vice versa, okay? Right? When you only focus on your family, all right, and you're not focusing on work, and all of a sudden you're laid off, or you don't have work, can't find work, but hey, I got a great family life. I got a great family life. I got a great relationship. I got all the love. I've got all the things, got all the stuff, right? But that starts building up, right? Because then the finances catch up with you, and all these other things happen, and you start getting burnt out the other direction. Okay, so burnout is caused by being out of balance in some area of your life, right? And I guarantee if you're going through it right now, you can look at your life and look at all the different things that make it up, whether it's your finances, whether it's your career, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your health, whether it's your religion. There's some area that you are just completely lopsided in, and that's what's causing your burnout, right? And so think of it as a balloon, right? If you push in too far on one side, it's going to pop, or if you pull too far on another side, it's going to pop, right? You can only do so much, right? Now, one thing you can do with the balloon is you can blow it up and make it bigger, okay? And think about that as your personal capacity, right? So if you're out of balance, right, it doesn't mean that you can't do so much. It just means you need to expand all the areas equally, okay? So when you're focusing on your career and not yourself. All right. So a quick story about this. So this is definitely definitely my story. Um, I I didn't get married till a little bit later in life, and well into my 30s, because I was always so career oriented, right? I told myself early on that, hey, I don't want to get married until I know that I'm financially stable, and that my wife will be financially stable, and so will my kids. And I don't want to, and I don't. So I always focused on my career so that I can be supportive and give my wife options, whether she wants to stay home, whether she wants to work. It's her choice, not my choice, not our choice. It's her choice, right? And so same way with my kids, if they choose to do a sport or activity, I wouldn't have to say no. So I was always career focused, as most, probably not even as ready as I should have been, when we got married and had kids. And so even after we got married, I was still very much career focused, right? And this is that out of balance thing. And so when you start adding in things like wife, kids, finances, mortgages, and all extracurricular activities, something naturally falls off. And for me, it was my health. Okay. For me, it was working out daily. I played college football. I always loved being in the gym, and so I've done half marathons. I've done Tough Mudders. Done various different types of activities. I love them. I love doing those things. It's exciting for me. It's the achieving that goal is fantastic. But guess what? I wasn't doing, and I hadn't done for almost a decade, and that was compete. And so for me, my life got out of balance when I continued to focus on my career, and I made time for my family, but I was unable to make time for myself, right, in my personal life. And so I just ballooned up. I'm a big guy naturally. I ballooned up well over 350 pounds. I could barely bend over to put my shoes on. I got out of breath climbing the freaking stairs. All the stuff that happened within it all sat right around my stomach, and it was just a horrible experience. And so when I took the first step, when I recognized that I was in burnout, I took the first step of creating my vision. My coach noticed, he said, hey, in your vision, it said you've got a bodybuilder physique, right? I don't share a lot about what's in my vision, but that's one thing that was in my vision, and I talk a lot about it openly because I do think that our physical well-being is absolutely linked to our mental well-being as well as our relational well-being. And so he says, you're a fat, you're not a bodybuilder. Why would you put that in your vision? I was completely taken aback. And so when I'm sitting here going, but I need to work more, and my family needs me, and I got all this stuff, and I write out my vision, and I realize that he's right. I'm not living anything in my vision. All right. And this was step one, is I had to start taking care of myself. All right. And so that's the power of a vision and it's one of many powers of a vision. If you've listened to any of my podcasts, if you get into our coaching and mastermind program, it's all we talk about, not all we talk about. It's the basis of everything that we talk about is what's our vision. Because here's what the reality is, right? And this is why I use this story here, right? Is because I was focused on my career, I was focused on my family, but I wasn't focused on my vision for my life. I wasn't focused on my physical well-being. Now, my career is part of my vision, right? I have major aspirations for my career. I have major aspirations for my financial success, right? But my physical well-being was in my vision as well, and I wasn't even touching it. Okay, and so what my vision allowed me to do is it gave me a lens for when things were asked of me, like, hey, can you come in an hour early because we have this job that's troublesome. Unfortunately, I can't, because that hour is when I work out every day, right? And I'm happy to stay an hour later because that's not when my workout is, right? Or I'm happy to come in on a little late on a Saturday because that's not when my workout is. So it allowed me to expand what I chose to do, right? And it gave me reasons to. It gave me an ability to set those boundaries, right? That I said is BS, right? Because we don't know what our boundaries are if we don't know what we want in our life. I wanted a bodybuilder physique, which meant I had to work out every single day. It meant that I had to meal prep. It meant that, guess what? When the CEO says, hey, I'm going to take you to lunch today because that's the only time I can find to meet with you, and I like to go eat at this restaurant, I got to say, we can go there, but I'm bringing my Tupperware and I'm bringing my food with me. And guess what he chose not to do? He didn't want to sit with the guy who ate from his own Tupperware in a restaurant. All right. So I was able to create those boundaries and create that separation because I was living my vision. I was doing what I wanted to do. Okay. So that's the power of a vision. The other thing with a vision as well is that this is something that if you don't have one, you're living someone else's. You are the victim of someone else's vision. Okay? If you don't know exactly what you want, then when the question goes, can you work later or harder? The answer is always yes, because you don't know, you don't have anything to judge it by. You don't have anything to filter it by. I use this a lot. I have several former employees, several former coworkers that approach me at times of need, particularly when they're laid off or looking for future. I have a very strong network. I'm very proud of that. I enjoy meeting people and enjoy conversing with people. And so, yeah, I'm the extroverted engineer. It's hard for me, but I love doing it. So I always share this with anyone looking for a job, is I say, don't write your vision out first. And the ones that do it, I always know, because they're the ones that stay at that job and they're not calling me back in 6 months to a year, right? Because they've landed in a place that aligns with what they want. It aligns with their principles. It aligns with their desire and what they want out of their life, right? And for those of us that don't, okay, you do what I did for 5 years, right? Oh no, not 5 years, 10 years. And you jump around what I call this cul-de-sac of miserable experiences, all right? Where you're stuck going from house to house. Oh, well, maybe this culture will be better. And it's the exact same culture because it's exactly what you did. It's similar to what you just left. Because guess what? They're looking at people similar to you, all right? And until you write out exactly what you want and what you want to be doing, you're stuck going horizontal very incrementally. Okay, so that's the power of vision. The next item, all right, the next item is how do we achieve that vision? Okay, so now that we have a vision, what do we do with it? How do we achieve it? How do we reach it? I can't just say, I want to be a CEO, and bam, I'm a CEO. Not going to happen. Right? And you can't just say, I want a bodybuilder physique. Bam, I have a vision, bodybuilder physique. That's not how it works. Okay? Now that you have a vision, you gotta start focusing a little bit on yourself. Okay? I love this saying. Absolutely love this saying. All right? If you should take 10 minutes every day, I don't care who you are, 10 minutes every day and sit in silence. Oh, I don't have time for that. I can't do that. Meditation always makes me fall asleep and blah, blah, blah. If you don't have 10 minutes, then you should do it for 20, right? That's how out of balance your life is, okay? And so you need to start figuring out ways to start focusing on yourself, all right? And you do this, right? And this is, if you haven't read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, absolutely check it out. You need to check it out and figure, and listen to it and do exactly what he says, and that's start small. The smallest habits are what really are the smallest habits compounded annually are huge transformations, okay? The smallest habits compounded annually make for huge transformations, right? This is the part of my presentation that is just as cliche as can be. There's so many sayings out there, because and the reason I do believe that the reason there's so many sayings here is because so many people miss this, right? Like I said, if you don't have 10 minutes to take for yourself, then you should do it for 20, right? Another one is is when you don't focus. This one's mine, right? Is when you're not focusing on yourself, you're being selfish, okay? Because a lot of times we give ourselves an out for not doing our own personal development because, well, I got to take care of this person, and well, my job really needs me, right? And so we use this excuse, all right, of someone else, something else taking over our personal development. And every time you do that, you're being selfish, right? Because you're giving yourself glutton, you're giving yourself something, you're giving yourself a dopamine hit because you're making yourself feel better for doing the wrong thing, okay? So don't be selfish, focus on yourself, all right? So, and again, back to the small habits compounded, make for great transformations. We underestimate what we can do, or we overestimate what we can do in a week and underestimate what we can do in a year, right? And this is proof in, when I did the bodybuilding competition. Like I said, when I started it was over 350 pounds, all right? And so that was November of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. I remember sitting with my mastermind, and I was like, I don't know why, like, business isn't growing, and I'm just I'm fighting the existing contract I have. I'm fighting with them constantly, and I'm miserable, and all this other thing, and my mastermind, trying to. My coach turns to me and says, "You want to know why you're not achieving what you want? You want to know why your business is struggling? You want to know why your relationships are struggling? Because you are out of integrity with yourself. You said you want a bodybuilding physique. You are out of integrity with yourself. And you said that you were going to compete in a bodybuilding competition. That was a year ago. You never did it. Yeah, the pandemic happened, and I get all the competitions were canceled. But guess what? We're coming out of the pandemic. What are you going to do next year?" And so that day, November 3rd, 2020, I committed to compete in my first bodybuilding competition on November 6th, 2021. Right? 1 year. I couldn't run. I could barely lift at that point in time. I was over 350 pounds. Touch my toes, yeah, that ain't happening. But I started every single day. I started walking. First part of my day. First thing I did every day. So I walked for 45 minutes, right? And I continued that. And I started meal prepping, right? And I ate my meals. And then 45 minutes, I started adding a second 45-minute walk, right? And then that second 45-minute walk became 45 minutes in the gym. And then I did 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes in the gym in the afternoon. And I was eating my meals, right? And these small habits started compounding. So the 45 minutes in the gym, 45 minutes walking, and my meals, by February, I was down to 280 pounds, right? 70 pounds is a lot in 4 months, okay? That's a lot. A small habit. I started by walking 45 minutes, Okay, and then I started doing the right thing. Okay, now how do we do this? Right now, I will let you know that those small habits compounded and made it easier over the next year, because the last 12 weeks were brutal. But it was because of the work that I did up front in creating those small habits that these last 12 weeks were possible. Those last 12 weeks, I ate less than 1,200 calories a day. All right, and again, I was only able to do that because I was so dedicated to my diet before, for the previous 8 months, that when I had to kick it into gear, I was able to. But even beyond that, the physical side, I was working out 6-7 hours a day, and it wasn't walking anymore. It was running. I was jogging 7 to 11 miles every single day, right? And now I don't recommend this for anybody. It was absolutely insane. And if you look at me today, you can see that I'm not in at that level right now. And who knows what the future has, but that was a goal that I set out to achieve. I did it in 1 year. Did it in 1 year because I took the time to create these small habits, right? And I did it while I sold my business, and I did it while starting a new role at a much bigger organization. And I did it with the support of my family, and I did it to live my vision, okay? And so that's where we started, right? And you start with these small habits, and you start focusing on yourself. And when you focus on yourself, again, just start small, right? Even if it's 10 minutes a day, you've got to do it. You've got to get comfortable focusing on yourself and building yourself up. Because guess what? If you want to be a CEO, and this is one of the other things that I did in this time. If you want to be a CEO, then you need to act like a CEO, right? And I love this. I love this stat, right? The average CEO reads 64 books a year, right? I heard that, and while I was running 7-11 days or miles a day, and when I walk for 45 minutes every morning, I said, I want to be a CEO. Put in the earbuds, listen to an Audible, or read a book every night before I go to bed. And so I burnt through 75 books that first year as well, right? And it's because I took the time, right? Now, I didn't add an hour to my day. I didn't subtract from work to get that hour in. I adjusted my schedule to focus on me and allowed me to do it, right? Now, like I said, if that meant that I had to stay an hour later at work, I was able to do that because guess what? By 9 a.m., I had my day knocked out, right? I had myself taken care of in the morning. And this is why so many people talk about, hey, the importance of waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, that doesn't fit everybody, right? It fits my vision. And that's where when you have a vision, right, you start changing the way that you look at things, right? So you have a vision, and then you figure out, all right, what do I need to develop within myself to achieve that vision? Then you can start adjusting your day. You can make your day look however you want because you know what the end goal is. You know what the results are, okay? So start with the vision, do your personal development. And the third item is a commitment and accountability, all right? This is a big one. I don't care who you are. Motivation is not self-created, right? We might be able to create motivation to do something for a day, maybe 2, maybe a week, maybe even a month if you're really gifted, right? But most of us don't, right? It takes 3 weeks to form a habit, okay? 3 weeks to form a habit. And if you do not have enough motivation to get you through that 3 weeks, you're not going to form a habit. That's why so many people don't. And it's because motivation is not self-created, all right? And it comes through accountability, okay? And this is where I shared with you how I started the bodybuilding competition. When I had someone hold me accountable, when my coach turned to me and said, you are out of integrity with yourself. You are not doing what you said you were going to do, is when it hit me to the core. I recorded that session And I still listen to it, even though my coach has passed away. I listen to it regularly, and it still breaks me every single time. All right. That's what real accountability will do. And I talked about, our coaching and mastermind program. That's why we do it the way that we do it. It's not just me coaching you. It's peers in a mastermind group, because masterminds really results in your life. Get yourself into a mastermind group, right? Because the level of accountability, because you're with people who care about achieving things as well as you do, right? It doesn't have to care about what you want to achieve, but they care about what they want to achieve as well, right? And so they care about growth, you care about growth, and you immediately mind one. This is in a perfect example where 1 + 1 definitely equals more than 2. All right, and I can share with you a multitude of examples of how masterminds really can take to the next level. I've got a friend actually in our mastermind group, same mastermind group that I've used as examples for myself. His wife, he and his wife started a real estate business, and they were quite successful. But he was afraid to leave his job. Because they had the real estate through 2008, they experienced what it was like to lose everything in the real estate market. And he had grown up in Honduras, and he was always conditioned and taught that he needed to have a job. And he didn't see the real estate business, which made really good money. He did not see that as an opportunity to replace his job. They didn't see it as a job, right? And so he felt that he'd have a hard time explaining to his parents that hey, if I leave this, then this is what I'm doing and why. He didn't realize that it was the same thing, and he didn't think that they would see it as the same thing. However, he had this passion and this vision to help people develop in third world countries like Honduras, where he was from, help overcome poverty and move into this. And what he started running into is that he had this job that he got 2-3 weeks a year that he was allowed to take off, and his 2-3 weeks he'd take and he'd travel to Honduras or to some other country, Chile, I think, and various others. And he would mission 2 to 3 times a year, 2 to 3 weeks, because that was all the vacation he had. And it was through the mastermind that they were coaching him and said, look, you have this gift and you have this capability, and they're not aligning, right? You want to help people achieve what you've achieved. You want to help people overcome poverty like you have overcome poverty. And you are holding on to this job, which you don't need, by the way, because of this self-image, right? And so this is where the accountability comes in. And he was finally able to hear us and hear everyone say, you can help more people by living your vision and not holding on to this job. And so he left his job, and they go to so many countries, so many times a year. Him and his wife, they've grown the real estate business, because guess what? He doesn't have holding him down a job. And he has this growing real estate business. He has this growing missionary. He has this growing passion. And it's all because he's got a group of people around him holding him accountable for what he wants. That was his vision. That was his dream. And so it was through that I was able to achieve that level of accountability. That's what a mastermind, and that's what having good people around you, a great network of accountability, will do for you. All right. So putting it all together, guys, real quick, 3 elements to really get you started. If you really are waking up every day and you're just dreading dreading work. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to fire your boss. Some of you may do that. And I hope you do. If you're called to do that, absolutely do that, right? But if you're really facing burnout and you're tired and you're dissatisfied, that's no way to live life. You don't have to live like that. You can do what you want if you define what that is. And you take the action to make yourself deserving of that. And you put yourself with the people who will take care of you and who will hold you accountable to what you say you want to do. Right? So you create your vision, you focus on yourself, and identify where your gaps exist between where you are today and where you want to be in your vision, and you surround yourself with the right people who are going to hold you accountable. That's going to take you to a whole nother level, right? It's going to teach you how to deal with that horrible boss. It's going to teach you how to jump out of bed and do the work that needs to be done and not just sluggishly drag yourself in to sit behind a desk or stand behind a machine or sit on the line, right? These are the actions that you need to take. Guys, I hope you got something out of this. Now, if you don't mind, I want to take a few more minutes to talk a little bit about our coaching and mastermind program. Our coaching and mastermind program builds off of these principles. And plus, okay, we offer incredible opportunities, meeting with very like-minded people in the mastermind as well as with the coaching. You get just a tremendous amount of value from this. And if you're stuck in the spot, and again, this isn't for everybody, but if you're stuck with where you're at and you know that you want to get out of it, then I hope you listen to this, right? So here's what you get with the coaching and mastermind program, right? So step one, you get a 1 day with me, one-on-one. We spend the whole day focusing on you and developing your vision to the point that it motivates you to jump out of bed, right? You are excited every day you read it. And I should share another quick story with you guys. Look, when I first wrote my vision, I was so dedicated to it. I read it 12 times a day. Then I recorded it, and I listened to it every day. And I made a board with all the photos that I wanted in my vision, and I hung it next to my bed, and I looked at it when I woke up, looked at it before I went to bed. But the biggest thing is I read that vision 12 times a day, right? Because guess what? Every time I read it, I was more excited, right? We can't manifest our own motivation. We don't self-create motivation, right? So what can we put in place to do it? My vision did it for me, and I've seen it done for hundreds of other people. All right, so that's the first thing that you get with our coaching mastermind. You get 1 full day focused on you and developing your vision and making it exciting. The second thing you get is you get monthly check-in accountability with me, right? 30-minute call every month. We go over what did you accomplish? Where's your gaps? What are you doing? Are you building on those habits, or are you falling off, right? What are we doing to get to the next level? All right. The third thing that you get is retreats. All right. This is huge. All right. This is where, like, man, oh man, I can't tell you the number of retreats that I have bawled my eyes out because I knew I just got reality struck across my head. All right. So the way a retreat works, we do it 3 times a year, 2 days. And what we do in those retreats is everyone in the mastermind gets an opportunity to talk about your wins, talk about your needs. All right. And you bring your needs to the table. All right. And everyone in your mastermind gets to help you, right? and call you out on your BS. And I say that in the most loving way I can say it, all right? Because guess what? A lot of times we give ourselves way more outs than we deserve. And the people in the room will see right through it because they've been there or they're going through it themselves, all right? And then on top of that, you help everyone else in that room. And I'll tell you, I have done more learning through other people's shares in those retreats than I have ever gotten from one of my own. I go there with a list of things that I want for me during my share, but I generally get them answered through someone else's plus some, right? So that's the next item is the 3 retreats a year, all right? The fourth is we do a monthly call with the mastermind, all right? So you get everybody in your mastermind just checking in. Again, it's not the one-on-one coaching with me, it's the coaching with the mastermind. Everyone does a quick check-in. How are we doing? Where you sit on your accountability, right? So this is the accountability. How are you getting to your vision? What are you doing next, okay? So finally, what you get is you get a whole boatload of tools and resources that I've developed or I've taken from other individuals, all right, throughout the years, whether it's my habit tracker, right? So I built this habit tracker kind of based on visual management systems that I've used in manufacturing. I needed something that I could see real time, red, green, or yellow. Am I hitting my habits? Am I missing my habits? And I can see real time. And I'll tell you right now, if it's green, then I'm hitting my goals. If it's yellow or red, and I know exactly why I'm missing my goals, okay? So through the habit tracker, I got my prioritization matrix. I've got various other vision building tools that will help you build your vision. And we've got all sorts of other tools. Plus we bring in special speakers, guests to help us out throughout the year. So that's it, guys. This program it's a big program, okay? You get a lot of stuff, as I just said, right? So it's $10,000 a year or $1,000 a month. I guarantee you will get results with this, right? And I mean that. So if you take this program and we're 30 days into it and you say, I'm not getting anything out of it, I'll give you your money back, no questions asked, right? That's the level of confidence that I have in it because I've seen it work time and time and time. $10,000 for the year or $1,000 a month, and you get the 1-day session where we build your vision, monthly one-on-one coaching with me, monthly calls with your mastermind, 3 2-day retreats a year, and all the tools, tips, tricks, and guest speakers that we can find to help you get to the next level, right? We are wholly committed to helping you achieve your vision, right? But we got to start by developing that vision and understanding what it is. Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Your time is absolutely precious, and I really appreciate you listening to me today. If there's any questions, feel free to hit me up. If you are interested in the coaching program, click the link below so that you can set up a call with me, and we'll do a quick call just to see if it's right for you. Again, I'm not going to sell you something that I don't think you're going to be successful with. Okay, so appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.